All right, now that we have pushed that out of the way, what we need is to send it when we send other data. So where are we loading the inputs? So there's tab action here, there's load inputs, right? Now load inputs receives data from the database, right? For as long as there's some data, we will run this. So right here where we are sending name, blah, 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 we can also send UID. So UID like that will be from the data. Let's see, data.length. Why am I not getting data? Oh, okay, so it's this one here, not on this one. So let me undo that. This is where we are getting a value from the database, but instead of value, let's also add UID. So instead of value, there's UID here. So this is the information from the database. Just the same way we're getting this value from the database, we'll also have another column called UID now, which we're going to supply like this. So what this means is that if it's a new empty input, it will not have a UID, but if it isn't, it should have a UID. So before we hit save, let's try and see that in action. So I'll go to curriculum table and look here. I'll right click and inspect. So as you can see in the input, there should be another thing called UID here. So value curriculum data, but it doesn't look like there is though. Not good at all. But maybe if I try to add one more, let me inspect. Let's see, does it have a UID? No, doesn't seem to have. Okay, so UID there. What have I made? What mistake have I made? There's text, there's UID, value. Okay, this should have worked. Let me refresh again. Oh, I haven't refreshed the page. Sorry, that's why. So refresh the page. Let me inspect. Okay, finally we have a UID here, but it says 0. Why? Let's inspect again, and then it says 0 as well. Why is that? There's UID. Oh, okay, so it's true. There's 0, 0 on the UIDs here. Okay, so that makes sense. So it's actually working. Very cool. Now, before we even start saving these UIDs, let me do this first of all, because I wanted to generate some new ones. So I'll go to admin, just mute this one that expects a UID from the post. Where's the other one? Okay, great. Then I just want to save what's already here. All I want is just to create some new valid UIDs there. So I'll move these around and save. That way there will be some new UIDs here. Oopsie, they are not there because this is old data. So let me delete this data here. Or maybe what I can do instead is to just get this, put it here. Temporal, this is temporal stuff in the curriculum section here. I just wanted to generate something. So let's try and switch these guys again and save. So let's come back and browse. Okay, so at least we have some numbers now. So let me undo that and undo this mute and that mute. Okay, cool. So now we have some valid UIDs. Now what I want to do is refresh this page, inspect, and see if those UIDs are there in a valid way. And there it is. So that's the UID there. Okay, cool. Now you can generate this UID, the unique ID, in many ways. You can use hashing. That's entirely up to you how you create, as long as the number is unique somehow in the database. So once we have that UID, we can grab it as an attribute when saving. So when we are saving here, we go to courses view, what we do is we collect data and then send the data. So here, load inputs, there's let me see what we have here. So the saving code is right above here, the first. So there's send data, but there's another function called save content right there. Okay, so this is the part which gets the input name, and then it also gets its value. Okay, so there's input name and a value, input name and a value. So instead, we need a way to send more data than this. Okay, so what I would do instead is there's object key here, right? So the key is what we grab, that's the input name. So there's a key value pair. Now I need a way to grab the UIDs only. The problem is I can send more data here in form of JSON, but I don't want to confuse things by using JSON. JSON is very convenient and very much used, but I've seen that during tutorials it causes problems. So instead of that, let's find another way of just generating another key that has a UID, and then we save that. So here I'll just say there's an input, right? Instead of doing .value, I want to get an attribute of this input. So I'll say this and say .get attribute, like that. And then it will ask me what the attribute name is that I want to get, which is UID. So this is the attribute on the on here on an input. Where is that input? Oh boy, where? Oh, there are no inputs unless the ones I've loaded. Anyway, what I'm talking about is this input right here. If I inspect, there is a UID. So this one, the name is UID of this attribute, and that's the unique ID there. So we're just trying to grab that by using get attribute UID. Now, if it has the same key as this one, it will override this one. But I want to put this one, but then say whatever key is there, I'm just going to say, or I can put it at the beginning and say in quotes UID, then put an underscore just so I can separate the two a bit later, and then close that and put a plus to concatenate the two. So there'll be the key of this input and then a UID at the beginning. So UID underscore and then key there, and then we put the UID there for that piece of data. So not the most professional way of doing things, but because we can't use JSON, JSON is more professional in this case, but more confusing. So let's just do it like this. We'll get our data. So there on the other side, what we're receiving is, this is like having a hidden input, right? In your form, like having a hidden input that has UIDs. But the reason why I'm concatenating the key is because I want to know which key, which key this UID belongs to. So they have both names in there. Okay, great. So hopefully that works. Alrighty then. So in case this does not exist, the UID, then it's going to just send an empty string there, which is okay. I think, I'm not sure, if you try to get an attribute and it's not there, I think you get a no. So whatever that is will be sent through. So let's go on the other side and sort this out as well. So once we get to this side, we're on the curriculum section. Let's go to curriculum. Where are we? Right here. So in here, what's happening is we are sorting out the information. So if the thing is matching this, you see that, and then a number, then it's added to metadata. Okay, so key, and then an item and its value. So this is all right, but we still need to match that value, those same items, with their UIDs. So what I'll do here, I'll grab exactly what's happening with this metadata, but let me duplicate this and say metadata UIDs, like so that I can have a separate array that is exactly the same size as this one where I'm putting values, but there I'll be putting UIDs. So here, instead of value, we're going to get a UID. So in the same way, if we have this data will match. So if key, let's say the value is not empty, and then the key matches, which means this is valid data. It means we should be able to find a UID for that exact same key that we've created here, because that's how we designed it. So here we're going to say metadata, and then there will be a key, whatever that key is, and then a UID as well. But where do we get that UID from? We'll get it from the post variable. So I'll grab this. It's going to be from the post. But what key will be in there? So that key is UID with an underscore plus. Now we don't use plus here because this is PHP. We use a dot to concatenate, plus whatever the current key is, like so. Okay, so instead of metadata key, yeah, okay, so this one should be underscore UIDs, like this. Okay, because that's the array that we are changing. So from here, we're adding exactly the information from here that we are putting in this array, but instead of putting values, we want to put just the UIDs. That way we can know just based on where the item is. The first item, the first value here corresponds to the first UID in this array, and just like that. So there will always be an equal number of metadata and metadata UIDs because they're being added at the same time. All right, so in case this does not exist, you can put a double question mark like this, just in case it doesn't. Then you can put an empty string there if you want to. So this one will not have a UID of any kind. So, but obviously it will exist because it's being sent. So once we do this, then now we have this item that can grab UIDs as well. So let's try and check that out. So if I go down here and we grab all the old records, whatever it is, now that we are saving here, we have a UID here that we can grab based on this metadata thingy. Now there is a key here that we are using, metadata key. Now remember that this same key is exactly the same key we are adding to the metadata UIDs, so it can work for both. So if the first key is 0, even here the 0 will have the UID of this value. So hopefully that makes sense. So since we are grabbing the key here, we can read from it. So to grab a UID, instead of just saying post UID, I will have to grab it from the metadata UIDs. So I'll do this. Metadata underscore UIDs, that's the array, and then this key right there we are using for metadata is the same that will work here as well. Yep. And then finally, wait a minute, is that right actually? Yeah, that's right actually. That's true. Then once we grab that, we'll have these rows here that we are using here. So this rows is also the for each that's happening here. So interesting. So we'll need another key here as well to match what's here. So what I'll do is I'll do this and say as a key to value. So I want both of these keys so I can use them to access exactly the same location in the other array. So the first key is the one for the first one. Now, if you notice here, this is an array of an array. So which means we'll need one more key here, which is key 2. And that should give us the value for our UID. So I hope this is not too confusing. We had to do it like this because we are not carrying JSON data. If we were carrying JSON data, all of the data would be sent together in the same key and then just sent as JSON, and then we just decode it or encode it. But I saw that was a bit problematic for teaching, so maybe this. Now, if you are not too sure of what's happening here, what you can do is when we reach here, after we do this, let me put die over here. So I'm just going to say die like that. So I show you what's happening. So at this point, I just want to echo what's inside metadata. So we just say show what's inside metadata, and then also show, let me just duplicate this one, what's inside metadata UIDs like that, and then die. Okay, cool. So from there, let's try and see this. I'll refresh this page, then I will inspect the element, and let's go to the console. Let's clear out the console, and then let's hit save. So I'm going to swap these two guys so that this can come up, and then I'm going to save. Now as I save, you're going to see what's happening here. So there are two arrays. There's curriculum, both of which have curriculum as a first key, which is nice. And then inside here, we should have, this is the data for the other side, but this one is the UIDs. But they're empty, so which means things didn't go as planned. Okay, but let me refresh. Let's make sure these guys were not empty to start with. Inspect. The UIDs do exist, so we should be able to find them. So UIDs. So let's see where the problem is. Now, debugging here is about tracing back your steps, and let's see where we dropped the ball. Okay, so let's go step by step. So let's begin by the data collection process here. So let me go back. So I'll leave this so we can see what's happening, and then I'll go to courses view. So right here where we're sending the data on save content, so instead of sending the data, let me remove that. What I'll do is just do a console.log. I want to see what we are sending in OBJ, if the UIDs are there, right? So let's refresh since we've edited our JavaScript, inspect the element. Let's go to the console. Let's clear out everything here, and then let's swap these and hit save. So as you can see here, we do have the data that we want, I think. Okay, so there's UID curriculum 1. Oh, okay, so that's where the issue is. I think that's where the problem is. So there's a 1 at the end here that we did not account for. So let's see. So it goes curriculum 0, curriculum 1, and then it goes UID curriculum 0, UID curriculum 1. Okay, so that's one thing I didn't account for. So I see where the problem is. So the UID is being sent, we're just not capturing it well on the other side. So let me undo this. Okay, so on the admin section right here, when we do this, I should have made a separate if statement here, like so. All right, so I should have made a separate one for the UID version. Now, if I look, so let me remove this from here. And let me remove this meta from here, because here we are creating for this one. Okay. So in the same loop, we don't have to loop twice. We just put an if statement for this, if statement for that. So at the end of the day, they should still be equal metadata and meta UIDs. But the format for the UID is different. So whereas we have curriculum, the keys, curriculum _0. So there's some text and a number. In this one, there's some text, there's an underscore, more text, an underscore, and a number. So we have to account for that in our preg match here. So we're already looking for some letters an underscore, then a number. So I just need to copy this part that says look for some letters and underscore. Now, since I know exactly what letters I am looking for, I can just type them here, say UID and then underscore, like that. Okay, so that's the text, UID underscore, and then some other bunch of text which can be variable. That's why we are putting that, but this will always be UID underscore, so that's why we're just adding it there. And then we'll have another underscore and a number. And then from there we grab our key. So what will the key be? We're just removing the number at the end here, right? That's what we are doing to make a key. So the key will have UID at the beginning always. So let's keep that in mind. So once we remove the number, that's fine. Let's go now to where we are grabbing the keys here. So the same key, but should have UID at the beginning. So in here, I'll put UID because we are not removing that UID at the beginning. Let's put a dot there to concatenate. So we are saying the key should have UID plus whatever key we are using for metadata, which in this case will be. So what I'm doing here, let me explain in a little bit more detail. So what we are doing originally is, because we are sending this curriculum with a number at the end like this, what we were doing originally is removing this number to make sure that they're all saved in the curriculum section, right? Because once we remove the numbers, this is exactly the same key. Okay, the numbers are the ones that are making it unique. But in this case, when we remove a number remains with curriculum, we're also doing the same here, but we're just removing the number without the UID. So in order to use this key for metadata, we just have to add UID at the beginning of it and then put that key there, underscore and that key. Then we have the same key for the UID section. Okay, so we are in the curriculum section, I hope. Yes. So that's how we are going to be able to grab what we want. But let's see what we have at this point once we do this, and we're going to see that. So what I would do is back again here, back to the console, clear the console, and then let's save. So I'm going to hit save. Oh, okay. So what I need to do is refresh the page, clear, swap these two just for the sake of having that active, and then we save. So this is coming from our PHP side now, console. Let's do that. So there we have, this is still empty, this UID curriculum, but why? So something is still wrong here. Okay, so what I want to do is I just want to show the entire post data that we sent. Okay, I'll do that just to see that we are receiving it indeed. So refresh again, clear the console. Let me move one of these guys up just to activate the save button. Then let me save. I've spread it too thin. Save. Okay, so the post data is here and we are getting our UIDs. You see here, there's one UID and another one here, data, data. So the UIDs are coming here. They're just not being saved properly here. UID underscore curriculum underscore 1. Okay, so what's happening here? So it seems this process is not happening. Oh wait, it is happening. That's why we have two items down here. So it means it is happening. It's just that the value is empty right there. Okay, so if that's the case, because we are grabbing this from the post, let's see here. Oh, it's coming from value. Okay, so that's my bad. I should get this value from value itself. So copy that and put value here. Okay, cool. Just like we did here. So let me remove the post version. Oh, I'll leave it there just for sure. Refresh. Let's do this again, right? Let's move this up and save. Okay, much better now. So as you can see now, we have curriculum 2 data, data 2, and data 1, and these are their respective UIDs. So let's make sure that 57 belongs to data 2. So let's see here. Curriculum 0 has 57, which is data 2. So that looks accurate, but let's see again. So 857 should be the one that has data 2. So let's look at the inputs themselves. So let's refresh. This one should have 857 as a UID. So inspect, let's see that. And that's true, 857. Okay, so things are working as intended. So I can remove this part here and things will work as intended. Let's try this out, shall we? So right here, I'll refresh the page, go back here, refresh, and I want to see if data 2, even though I swap these two, will remain with 857. So let me swap it, bring it down to there. So it's now down here. Let's save. Okay, cool. So let's come back here and see that. So there's data 2 with 857. This one has 683, but let's concentrate on 857 for data 2. Let me refresh. So data 2 has moved here, and as you can see, the 857 has also moved with it, just like the 683. So this ID now is reliable. It's reliably moving together with the data, which is nice. Okay, so now we can reliably link this guy to some other data somewhere that we can read from another table and use these as links. So what I want to do now is just to see if I can delete most of this stuff and still have the UID remain intact. So let me try. Let me delete data 1 here, and then let's see if this will maintain the 857. That's data 2. So let me do that. So I'll delete this guy. Oh, that's one thing I didn't notice. The delete doesn't work anymore. Ah, boy, oh boy, oh boy. Okay, so that's fine. Let's go and try and do this on the other side here. Okay, I haven't put UIDs there either. So this is a nightmare. I can't really test this apart from just swapping these two like that. Okay, so a lot of things I need to fix here before I can test everything. Let's check out the delete first of all and see that that works. But let me try and refresh one more time. And as you can see, the IDs are following the data, which is good. Okay, so we'll continue in the next video where we fix some of these issues here.